Good evening and thank you for joining us on NTA ILORIN Weekend Report. I am Abdulwahid Bibiri. First, the highlights. Kwara State government to explore potentials in agriculture to break poverty chain. Reactions continue to trail redesigning of some Naira notes. Our discussion segment tonight is on how to end impunity for crimes against journalists. Plus, update in the world of sports and weather forecast. Details in a moment. And now the news. The final assessment of indices preparatory for the takeoff of the National Food Security Program co-funded by the Islamic Development Bank and Kwara State government is on top gear. Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak told an assessment team who was in the state that Kwara State is ready to leverage on agriculture to break the chain of poverty among the people. Raliat Ibrahim has the details.
Comprises officials from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Finance, and the Islamic Development Bank. Kwara State, according to Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, is prepared for the commencement of the program, including payment of the final counterpart fund in view of its importance in the attainment of food security in the country. In addition to his administration's agricultural master plan, the governor believes the food security program will not only make the state food sufficient, but also help break the chain of poverty among the people.
The future for us is agriculture and agro-processing, and that is where we have comparative advantages over other states. If you go through the history of Kwara, rice was first grown in Nigeria in commercial farms in Kwara State, in Pategi.
Food security cannot be attained as long as we continue to look at agriculture from the subsistent level. We must transform from agri-produce to agri-product. We must bring production and processing closer. We must look at agro-processing and agro-industrialization.
The operation team leader, Javed Khan, believes Nigeria has a lot of potentials that should be harnessed, noting that the project is mostly beneficial to the poor.
Nigeria is one of the first country who is taking benefit of the food security program that recently IDB Board of Executive Director approved. It is around 10 billion food security program in which this project will get the benefit out of this program.
Kwara State is one of the 4 states selected for the program in Nigeria, with Kano, Kebbi and Ekiti being the other 3. Raliat Ibrahim, NTA News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria recently announced its decision to redesign the Naira, which will affect the highest denominations, 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. The action, according to the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, was taken to control the currency in circulation. Olajide Bello in this report feels the pulse of residents of Ilorin on the development.
New and existing currencies shall remain legal tender and circulate together until January 31, 2023, when the existing currencies shall cease to be legal tender. These developments, no doubt, has been generating different views from Nigerians.
It's a way of checking our economy.
I believe that whatever they are able to do to ensure that our Naira is strengthened and our currency is protected, I think is a welcome idea.
The time lapse they wanted to give is somehow too short. And if really they wanted to control the economy of our country, they know the exact area where they should go.
There is no basis that the change in the color of the currency will add value to the economy.
Thus, the redesigning of the Naira have security advantages. Well, the police public relations officer sheds light.
Taking of ransom is also a crime, and the police supports every attempt by government and even the good people of Nigeria to ensure that kidnapping and taking of ransom becomes a thing of the past. Even as we don't support the issue of ransom, but I know the policy of the government they must have reasons for coming up with that. If it is going to deter the criminals from demanding for ransom or collection of ransom.
Accordingly, all deposit money banks currently holding the existing denominations of the currency may begin returning these notes back to the CBN effective immediately, as the newly designed currency will be released to the banks in the order of first come, first served basis. The CBN says for the purpose of this transition from existing to new notes, bank charges for cash deposits are hereby suspended with immediate effect. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Eucharistic Heart of Jesus Model College has emerged winner of the 2.5 million naira cash prize for the 2022 Kwara State Internal Revenue Service Task Club competition. Olajide Bello reports that this was in the presence of the Executive Chairman Shade Omoni, the State Deputy Governor Kayode Alabi, and representatives of schools from the 3 senatorial districts of the state.
The journey started with a total of 219 schools drawn from the 3 senatorial districts in a keenly contested competition that was eventually streamlined to 18 secondary schools. 50 multiple-choice questions bordering on taxation within Kwara State and current affairs set the tone for the CBT semi-final examination for the 2022 Tax Club quiz competition among 18 students drawn from the 3 senatorial districts, which eventually produced the final 6.
Is that your final answer?
High level of intelligence and research by the students came to bear as they slugged it out for this year's winner to emerge. At the end of the competition, Eucharistic Heart of Jesus Model College took the ace. For John Paul Arukuyo, a student of Eucharistic Heart of Jesus Model College who came first runner-up last year, it was determination and deeds of hard work that paved the way.
We went through rigorous training. We stay after school to like 5 o'clock each day just to come first.
I'm so excited and I thank the KWIRS for giving us this opportunity.
The initiative that started in 2016 has birthed many developmental achievements with a view to boosting education and providing cutting-edge facilities to aid learning.
We need to proactively invest in tax practice and administration in order to build a very environment to make the business of taxation thrive.
You know, the needs of schools are quite plenty, and while government is doing a lot, we also need to be able to reward excellence. At the beginning of the session, we went through what has been done so far by those schools, and what we do is we don't just give them money. They tell us which product, and we are part of the process of implementing those projects.
The annual Tax Club quiz competition creates an interactive atmosphere for students to share ideas and contribute positively to the economic development of the country, with the possibility of building a career in taxation and other related areas of study. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
NTA ILORIN Weekend Report continues after this time out.
It's a new dawn for Nigeria. Oh, better days are coming. Better days that gives us hope and strength. All Latino boys need traveling to keep this hope alive. Bring the smiles back to all Nigerians.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria. Renewed hope beckons on our people. The silver lining doffs the skies. The firmament portents a bright future as the people of Nigeria move to vote a man whom they have come to trust for the realization of their aspirations for a better Nigeria. That man is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He has been tested. He can be trusted. Vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria 2023. Vote Kashim Shettima as Vice President. Vote APC. Surely with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the smiles are returning. We are close to home.
Bring the smiles back to all Nigerians.
Welcome back. Violence and threats against journalists are a common phenomenon in Nigeria, as media practitioners suffer various forms of attack while discharging their duties. Abdulafiz Alaya in this report takes a look at causes and consequences of these problems against the backdrop of this year's International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists.
While access to information is critical to personal and national development, journalists, in the course of getting people informed, are often subjected to countless threats such as kidnapping, torture, and other physical attacks. Like some other journalists, Ahmed Fulani and Oluseyi Da Silva are living witness of brutality from both state and non-state actors while in line of duty.
When you are working for government or you are discharging your duties, some people feel aggrieved that probably you are working against them. So I have experienced attacks from some people while I was on duty, and it was actually a bad experience.
I stumbled on some people dressed in police uniforms, and I saw them thumbprinting. Then I was arrested. I was asked to write an undertaking that I won't report what I saw.
These experiences have laid credence to the data from International Press Center, which documented about 90 incidents of attacks on journalists and 8 attacks on media houses in Nigeria between 2020 and 2021. A climate of fear for media professionals, no doubt, impedes free circulation of information. Hence, the need for stakeholders to create an enabling environment for journalists to thrive.
For it to become a law, journalists should be earning minimum this. Once we get out of the impunity or victimization of journalists, we reduce.
If Nigerians are protected and they are being given justice when our rights are being trampled upon, it will extend to journalists.
They are going anywhere that they think can protect any security issues with them. We are ready to give them protection.
The United Nations General Assembly in 2013 proclaimed 2nd November as the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, with a mandate on member states to implement definite measures to end the present culture of impunity. Abdelaziz Alaya, NTA News.
That report by Abdelaziz Alaya on International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists formed the basis of our discussion segment tonight on NTA ILORIN Weekend Report. And already the guest is in the studio. He is Mr. Abdulateef Lanre Ahmed. He is the chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Kwara State Council. Mr. Abdulateef, it's good to have you on NTA ILORIN Weekend Report.
My pleasure.
Despite the fact that your schedule is very tight, we really appreciate your time.
Thank Almighty God.
All right.
And good evening to viewers at home.
Let's quickly set the ball rolling. Every job has its risks and hazards. What are your own risks in the profession, whether in print experience or broadcaster experience?
Thank you for this question. I think today, first of all, calls for sober reflection, taking cognizance of some of the challenges that journalists across the world are confronted with. Well, to answer your question, every job or every profession has its risk or hazard. In journalism practice, we have had to contend with challenges. The risk involved having an enabling environment is one of the challenges that we face as journalists in our society. Another aspect is the lack of adequate remuneration for journalists. If you look at our society, particularly where we find ourselves, you hardly see a media organization that pays adequate take-home to journalists. And not just that, we also have the challenges of insurance. In journalism practice in Nigeria, you hardly see media organization, without any exception, paying, having insuring their editorial staff. Yes, particularly journalists in those organizations. So I think so many, but most importantly is the lack of enabling environment. Because if the environment is not enabled for you to practice, there's no way that you will be able to discharge your duty. And not just that, you also have the risk of losing your job if you stand with the core mandate of journalism practice, and that is the truth. If you stand with the truth, you should be able to bear the consequence, and one of the consequences is to lose your job. In the course, of course, it is said, in our own in our parlance that
he who pays the piper dictates the tune. If you are in journalism practice, you must be able to, you must be ready for any of these consequences. That if you carry a story or you carry a report that does not sit well with your proprietor or with the owner of the medium, then you risk losing your job. So ownership influence is one of the risks involved in journalism practice. So many, we have avalanche of risk involved, but I think for me, those are the little I could.
What about on the job itself? What are those challenges, particularly maybe the environment, the people's attitude to the practice of journalism? What are those challenges?
Thank you. I think in the environment, you need to look at the security of journalists. In our own, it appears that our case is like every man for himself, God for all. I expect society to rally around journalists because of the role they play in ensuring that we sustain our democratic governance. Let me state clearly that Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, partly says that media which interchangeably used in that part of the Constitution as press shall be free at all time to uphold the truth, and of course to also hold those in public offices accountable. So it means that whatever that they may, and let me also add that media is like a bridge between government and the governed. But it appears that the society is not really, does not care about what happened to journalists. They hardly know that journalists are working to ensure that they are protected. They are those that they give mandate to, those that are appointed or elected into public office are made to account for being those offices. They are not just there. You cannot just, because it is not their property, it's not their father's property. So journalists have a responsibility to call them to account. And in doing that, most of the time they become endangered species. That's why we always say that journalists are endangered species, because they are not, their life is not secure, they are not insured, and wherever you are, without having a security guard following you about, you can just be attacked, and you can even be killed. So we have had instances like that.
Okay, so can you recount one of these experiences you've encountered in the course of discharging your own personal professional calling?
Thank you so much. I think let me quickly say that without sounding modest, this is my 15th year, 3 months as journalist in Kwara State. I've had avalanche of experiences. Is it harassment from the police? That was in the past. Or is it an invitation from the office of DSS based on the report that you carry? Yes, you have a responsibility to report. I can't even count the number of, I think that for the police, I can't even, I think
so many of them.
I've had about 3 experiences with the police where I'll be invited to come and substantiate or defend the report that I've done. They want to make it appear as if the report that we have done or what we have reported is not true. So we have had cases like that, but to the glory of God, we have had cause to surmount them, because when you find yourself in journalism practice, is one of those things that you must be prepared for. And let me say that as journalists, you must uphold the truth at all times. You must have, if you want, no matter what you want to do, you must have evidence to back up with whatever they want to say.
Objectivity, fairness,
and truthfulness.
And truthfulness.
Yes, because I always tell people that yes, I'm a journalist, and I'm constitutionally guaranteed, and my freedom of expression is constitutionally guaranteed. But I must be mindful of the fact that after expression, is there freedom? So those are the things that we always say, that before you even say something, you must have the watertight evidence against whatever that you want to, or whatever that you publish, so that so that your case will not become you will not turn hunter become the hunted. So in that manner.
All right, Chairman, according to the International Press Center, over 40 journalists were attacked in 2021 alone, while some in the past have paid the supreme price. Who do we blame in this scenario?
We should blame every segment of the society. The government, the media organization, and even the society at large. One of the challenges that we face in our society is that, like I alluded to in my initial remarks, is that the society does not really see journalists or media practitioners as those that are there to protect their interests. When it is journalists that make people to know that they are entitled to some things. You know, we're in democracy, for instance. You have the right to criticize government constructively. You have the right to engage government. Where if you believe that government has not done well, you also have the right to vote such government out of power. So it is generally it is media that always give you that ample opportunity to criticize those in power if you believe that they've not done well. So the essence of having your voter's card is to vote those people out of power if you believe they have not met your expectation. So it is so unfortunately the society. When you now look at it, the society seems not really aligned with what journalists are doing. They don't really believe that journalists are really protecting them from their right being infringed upon by those in power. So I think the society, the government is not also, you recall that was it at the 8th National Assembly that they wanted to criminalize hate speech, and using social media as a platform to do that. And I think the NUJ and other bodies, even those in human rights activism, also kick against it that time, that you cannot, if you cannot criminalize or reeling out capital punishment for those who have stolen the country blind, why are you now trying to criminalize those who criticize on social media platforms, which you interchangeably refer to as hate speech? No, you cannot do that. Why don't you first of all do that? So I think the area, looking at that, the NUJ and came out boldly to say that no, such bill will never see light of day. And in doing that, the bill eventually died natural death.
Well, can we say that the society is not safe to practice this journalism?
In our environment?
Yes.
Our society. Well, it's not really, I cannot say totally, sir. I cannot say totally, but I believe that the society has a lot to do in protecting journalists. See, I just said that journalists are not being well paid in this country. If we have to look at it, I think it is high time that the society must, set up an endowment fund for journalists, for media, for them to be able to practice, to be able to discharge their responsibility as expected of them. If government is not, or if you look at what happened during COVID-19, you see that so many, in fact, media houses were the most hit in the wave of COVID-19. The trend has continued up to this moment. If you open pages of newspaper these days, you hardly the pagination has been reduced significantly to 30-something, which is not supposed to be. Hitherto, they can go as far as 80 pages, but now because those that are supposed to place advertorial in newspaper are not doing it again. So what do? So you just have to survive. And let me also quickly add that that has also accounted for why so many journalists are not being well paid in the country. That is a syndrome that must be addressed if truly we want to put our society on the right pedestal. And we want to also, if we believe that the democracy that we practice in our country must be sustained, or we must sustain the democracy, because it is only in democracy that you have freedom to express yourself. But mind you, even if you are expressing yourself, that does not give you the liberty to begin to attack people. You hide under that to settle personal scores. So it is not done anyway.
Mr. Abdulateef, what is your advice on how to effectively end impunity for crimes against the pen professionals?
Thank you. One of it is to ensure that the environment is enabled. It means that government must give journalists or the media, as the case may be, an enabling environment to operate. If the environment is not enabled, there is no way that you can practice journalism effectively and is expected of you in line with the ethics of your profession. Then the society, I mentioned endowment fund. I think it is high time that journalists are well funded. We have had cause to call government, looking at the adverse effect of COVID-19. That time, we have had cause to call on government to provide bailout fund for media houses who were mostly hit in the wave of COVID-19. So by and large, I think the society must rally around. Then the security agencies must also stand with journalists or media, because I believe that we should be working collaboratively. So in doing that, I think we will have cause to have a smooth and a perfect society. Though it cannot be totally perfect, but we can have a society that we can all be proud of.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Abdulateef Lanre Ahmed, the chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Kwara Council, shedding light on how to end impunity crimes against journalists. We now move on to sports. The General Secretary of the Nigerian Football Federation, Mohammed Sanusi, has decried the speculations and outright falsehoods over the relationship between NFF and the head coach of the Super Eagles, Jose Peseiro. Abdulafiz Alaya has the details.
Sanusi said most of the speculations are simply ridiculous because the Federation has no problem whatsoever with Peseiro and he has not reported the NFF to FIFA with regard to his wages. Sanusi also added that Peseiro had been doing his work without entertaining any distractions and has even compiled his list of players for the upcoming international friendly against Portugal. Also, Sports Minister Sunday Dare declared yesterday that the 21st National Sports Festival, tagged Data 2022, will go ahead as scheduled. Speaking with journalists after the inspection of facilities, Dare said he was highly impressed with the level of work done by the various contractors. The Sports Festival will hold from November 28 to December 10. In another development, organizers of the annual Lagos Women Run have confirmed that about 25,000 runners will be participating in the November 12 race. According to Popola, over 18,000 runners have registered online, while over 10,000 printed physical forms are now being collated. Abdulafiz Alaya, NTA News.
And that sports tidbit wraps it up on NTA ILORIN Weekend Report. Thanks for being part of the show. Good night.